OGG and the Beanstalk. It wasn't long after OGG was born that he started to realize he was different. When he was only 3 years old, he was too big to sit at the dinner table. His legs were as tall and as thick as tree trunks. Soon, OGG grew so big that people started to fear him, screaming and scrambling away when they saw him. He spent his lonely days strumming his mother's harp and watching the sun rise and set on the cloudy kingdom. OGG's lonely heart became hard as a rock. He made a home far away and kept only one hen and a bean garden to live on. One day, a beautiful fairy appeared. "So you are the terrible giant," she said with a smile. "Life has been cruel to you, but I will give you fortunes beyond your imagination. In return, I ask only for 5 beans from your garden." "Fee, fi, fo, fum," OGG said, and gave her the beans just so that she would go away. "Leave me in peace." The fairy reached for the OGG's harp. When she touched it, it turned into gold and started playing by itself. Then she stroked the hen's feathers, and out of it plopped a golden egg. OGG barely got a gasp out before the fairy disappeared. OGG's luck changed. Not long after, he met a lovely giantess, and together they built a mansion to live in, far away from the people who were unkind. On a fine morning, OGG came into the kitchen. He smelled something strange in the air. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman," he wondered aloud. But when his wife called it silly, he shrugged and set to counting the coins they had earned. Soon, he nodded off in his chair. When he awoke, the money was gone. He looked everywhere but couldn't find a trace of it. A long while after, OGG walked into the kitchen and smelled a familiar smell. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman," he said, but his wife told him that he was imagining it. OGG still had a feeling something was out of place. He thought he needed to calm down, so he played the magic harp and petted his hen. Barely a minute passed before he fell asleep. Suddenly, OGG woke up. He saw a tiny boy running out the front door, carrying his hen and harp. OGG jumped out of his chair and chased the thief, but he stumbled over a boulder and lost him. Eventually, OGG came to a huge beanstalk. He peered down the hole and saw another land far below. The fairy appeared once again. "You have lived such a comfortable life in your mansion. You have forgotten all about me," she said. "Now you see how powerful I am. What was given can also be taken away." OGG wasn't discouraged. He climbed down the beanstalk after the boy, but the stalk began to teeter this way and that. With a crack, the beanstalk fell from the sky, and OGG with it. When he hit the ground, it shook like an earthquake. Dizzy, he looked around at all the villagers who were watching him. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," he said. "Oh, my poor head." To OGG's surprise, the villagers welcomed him and bandaged all his bumps and bruises. He even met the boy who had stolen from him, whose name was Jack. When OGG learned that Jack and his mother had been hungry and poor, he forgave the boy. OGG always wished that people had given him a second chance. OGG planted a few of the beans that he had kept in his pocket, and soon people from both lands climbed the beanstalk to and fro. Neither OGG nor Jack saw the fairy again, and stayed good friends to the end of their days, and they all lived happily ever after.